Right now, let's bring in criminal defense lawyer Sydney Rushing, who has volunteered to present a closing argument for the defense tonight here. Thank you so much, Sydney. Again, law and order rules, about 3 minutes of time. I know it's difficult, so we appreciate it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, counselor, the floor is yours.
Who else is sitting here thinking, what about? The missing pieces, the contradicting stories, the sloppy investigation, and most importantly, the proof that Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe with her 6,000-pound SUV and left him there on the yard with no broken bones, no bruising, and no injuries to support being hit by a vehicle. Karen Reed is innocent. Simply put, unlike any other aspect of this trial, the prosecution has failed to meet their burden. Let's quickly knock out count one of the discussion. To prove murder in the second degree, not only do they have to prove that Karen caused the death of John, but that she also intended to do it. There has not been one shred of evidence that Karen intended to hit John. I think you'll easily agree that the prosecution has failed to meet their burden on this aspect. As it relates to the remaining two counts, one of the elements that both counts share is that the Commonwealth must show beyond a reasonable doubt that Karen hit John with her SUV. And after 8 weeks of testimony, they've probably left you with more unanswered questions than giving you answers. First and most importantly, you've heard many witnesses testify about the lead investigator in the case, Michael Proctor. What about Michael Proctor? Many of the reasons you likely have unanswered questions in regards to the evidence is because you're missing a key part of the entire case, the lead investigator. Let's talk about Aperture. The Commonwealth asked many questions about the defense paying the ARCA experts. But what about the Massachusetts State Police? They have an accident reconstruction expert, yet they weren't good enough to solve this case. So they paid Aperture $400,000 to show you the conclusion that they wanted. Did they not go with the Massachusetts State Police because it wouldn't turn out the way they wanted? On the opposite side, ARCA was hired by an outside source and came to their conclusions before becoming even a part of this process. You've heard testimony from Dr. Russell, who told you that these wounds look like dog bite wounds based on pattern recognition and her experience. Dr. LaPosada also told you she believed these wounds looked like animal bites or claw marks. Dr. LaPosada stated the wound on John's head came from something that had a little ridge to it and was irregular in shape. She said that John's body didn't have any bruises or broken bones, but it also lacked signs of hypothermia and frostbite. Dr. LaPosada said it best. The body tells her all she needs to know, and that John O'Keefe's body showed no evidence of being hit by a vehicle. I also think that the Commonwealth thinks that you're naive enough to think that someone being hit by a vehicle that's 6,000 pounds going 24 miles an hour in reverse would stand there, get hit, not make a sound, and have no broken bones and no bruising. I think we all know that we don't need a doctor to tell us what common sense tells us what injuries we would expect to see. So I leave you with this. What about the missing evidence? What about John's body having no broken bones and no bruises? What about the lack of investigation into all parties? What about the sloppy investigation with so many loose ends? All the whatabouts, those are all doubts. I ask that you use your common sense, and I'm confident that if you do, you will do the right thing and find Karen Reed not guilty. Thank you.
Fantastic again. Wow. Like if this is America's Got Talent, you both get golden buzzers, by the way, just so you know. So
this is what we do.
Yep. So, Rebecca, as you're listening to all these points, I just love the general theme here, which is pushing everything onto the prosecution, taking no burden, and telling this jury over and over again all the things that you don't know.
Yeah, I think that's really effective. And, you know, I just want to say, Margaret, I think your presentation was effective because you did talk about the one really compelling thing that I agree that the defense didn't do enough necessarily to counter, which is the text stream data. They did bring up on cross that it is an arbitrary time that was assigned based on another event. And, you know, we're not even sure that it happened that day, that time. That's not there. But I think what you did in your closing for the defense, which was really compelling, is you pointed to the fact that the prosecution had to go far afield to find people that that would bolster their case when typically all of those experts do work for the state in which they are prosecuting the case. That happened again and again and again. And that is absolutely something I would point out on closing. They were able to find one guy who agreed with this one thing and then went to another one guy to agree with this one thing when they had this wealth of information available to them that they chose not to use.
And Sydney, what I loved was how you framed Michael Proctor. Because I was thinking about this myself, and I didn't come to a crystal clear way of making it resonate. But if you tell this jury you've got questions, well, the guy with the answers wasn't called, and you know a little bit about, and they know a little bit about him, right? They know there's something really wrong with this guy. But to me, that's like, wow. There's unanswered questions because they didn't give you the lead investigator, never showed up inside this courtroom. That was amazing. I thought the $400,000, that's going to be huge. And I also like the fact that the whole theme is all about the burden that prosecutors. When I have seen successful defense attorneys on CourtTV, it's always about the burden. And you get the jury focused on, because it's a tremendous, I mean, Rick Grundy and Margaret, both as prosecutors, have overcome that burden many times, but it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, you've got to really bring it, and there's some jurors that have a hard time understanding what it is. Sydney, how about your choice here with the dog bites? The dog bites I felt was sort of sandwiched in the middle. I think that's appropriate, but give us the thinking behind that.
So I think it was really hard knowing that I only had 3 minutes, I had to kind of pick and choose my battles between almost, 50 witnesses, right? Obviously, I wanted to go a little bit more into Michael Proctor. I wanted to go into more with Aperture. But I think that it's very important to show, because what we have here, the injuries we have, are John's arm. So the defense had to put those doctors up there to give another reason to how those got there, right? If they didn't call these two doctors and both say these look like animal wounds, right? How would the defense have rebutted the injuries on the arm? So we have to bring I wish I could have gone more into it, right?
Sure.
There's a lot more between these two doctors.
3 minutes.
Pick and choose.
3 minutes is impossible. Speaking of time, we're out of time, but I appreciate so much everyone coming on here and celebrating closing argument eve. Rick Grundy, Margaret McLean, Sydney Rushing, Rebecca Lavoie. We're going to have